Wednesday. RawMikeRichards.com. Broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto. 234 King Street East out of the Pacific Junction Hotel. Coming up today, there'll be baseball excitement. Actually, it was in the Big O last night. Normally the excitement of the Big O is when chunks of concrete don't fall down on the patrons. Where's the betting on that? Also, the Raptors, a huge win over the very difficult Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, tricky Denver Nuggets.
Yeah. I hear people on the radio talking on the way in because we get a chance now to listen to what people say.
Well,
I don't.
Sometimes I listen to a lot of music.
I'm not gonna lie. Kiss Alive was on in my car today.
I told you.
Cold gin. You must be drinking cold gin if you look. What do you take away from that Raptors game? We'll get to it in today's show. Also, we talked about the Miami Heat and just what they could be in those Eastern Conference playoffs. The Cavs last night kind of found out. I think that Eastern Conference is wide open. When the playoffs start, there's a bunch of teams that could get through. I don't think there's any gimmies anywhere. Also have a couple of retro moments from the NHL. And I think of a certain era, the rule should have been when you play the Toronto Maple Leafs, don't touch Dougie. Bad things happen, Dave. Here's the other rule of a certain time period. Don't mess with Iggy.
It's true, especially when he's mad.
Yeah, if he's not mad, just go by and tell him how good he looks. And gee, have you done something different with your hair? And gee, if you lost some weight, you look fantastic. Like just you keep him in a good frame of mind. The worst thing you can do is rile him up, because he could have a relatively quiet night in the first couple of periods, Dave, and I've seen it. And then someone kind of gives him a stick or partial butt end or looks like they attempt to slew foot him or something like that, and then he just so the first thing, he beats you up. You get beaten up by the captain, and then he gets a hat trick in the third period, and you lose. What were you thinking? Why'd you get him mad? So we'll take a look at that as well. I think we also have. Just want to make sure that we hit it all here today. Oh, and something that they're doing with beer and the Yankees that has upset Major League Baseball, Dave. Very upset over the relationship between players and beer, and it's not what you think. And how Major League Baseball would be upset about this or get their nuts in a knot. I don't know. Like, for God's sakes, please. I mean, we got a lot of – there's probably some real issues in baseball you might want to deal with. I doubt that this what do they call it? Beer foam art.
How long? Like, I'm not a beer drinker, but how long can that actually last? Because if you have your,
Gotta be a second.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it literally is like, hey, look at that. Gulp, gone.
Thank you. Especially if you're hanging around with Tom Brady, who chugs it faster than most of us.
Is there anything he can't do?
No,
Doesn't it?
I know.
Just like, hey,
I
I bet Tom Brady probably doesn't even drink. Oh yeah, watch this.
Yeah.
Tom, you're making a fool of yourself. Shut up.
I think there's a real Tom Brady we don't quite know exactly about, and he's probably closer to us than we think.
See, and that's the thing. You want to hate Tom Brady. It's like almost Jack Nicholson. You want to hate Tom Brady. You need to hate Tom Brady. But you don't.
You don't.
Because behind corners, like, is there anything? The guy gets everything. He's the best player in the world, a supermodel wife. He's probably great dad, millionaire. He's gulping down beers. He's kind of funny. Like, when he does a lot of his stuff, I like the way and look, we've talked to a lot of NFL insiders over the years doing our different inceptions of this show. And to a reporter, to a man, they say, oh, he's great to deal with. He's always got time for us. He's always very polite. Which is why it was stupid, those guys in Boston, by the way, the rights holders of the Patriots, to start ripping on Tom's daughter. What are you doing? Like, of all the things that you want to attack to be controversial or to be the quote-unquote shock jock, even though I don't think that term really applies to anything anymore. How can a term like shock jock even exist when you've got the internet where I can watch, an overweight woman in East Germany taking a dump on her husband with his mouth open? How can a shock jock stun you the next day by, you know what I mean? It's what are you shocked by these days?
Nothing.
Like what? Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm trying to think really quick. No, because even when you watch, like movies, there's nothing that really stuns you anymore.
Well,
or you know, and I hate to say this, and this sounds really bad, but when you hear stuff that happens in the United States, it doesn't affect me as much as it used to. Does it bother me that it's happened? Absolutely, 1,000%. Does it shock me that some lunatic idiot whatever is doing what he's doing? Not as much as it used to, just because it just seems to be happening way too often. I know I'm getting off track here, but it's almost like, Mike, talk to me next week. There's probably going to be another school shooting, and it makes me want to throw up.
To a point, really what you're saying is, in today's society, we are so desensitized by the violence,
yes,
by whatever you happen to see, because the world now is in our hand. It's in that phone. For some of you, you might be watching right now on a phone. There's nothing that you can't get, and the fact is, there's very little temperance about it. It's, you know, how rigid can you be even with your kids who have phones? At some point, I mean, you've got 2 daughters. At some point, that's gonna be your world.
Bingo.
Because it's not like they're not gonna have phones. Some people go, we don't allow our children to have phones. Well, they'd be the only 2 probably in
North America,
in like grade 6, 7, 8, whatever.
Yeah.
They don't have phones. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. You have them, and I understand why. Because at some point, the way that we are with our kids now, we always need to have that contact. We need to know where they are. We need to know what they're doing. Think about it. Back in the day, between hockey practices and everything else and having buddies, all of a sudden you stay over at someone's house, and I phone just before dinner. Can I stay? I'm at Dave's house. Can I stay for dinner, please? Can I stay over? Come on.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, whatever. On a landline.
On a landline, yeah. No, it's true.
And you're gone. I go for days.
I still get made fun of that I have a landline. Like
we still do.
Yeah, I don't know. It's easier. The parents phone the line, and mind you, we don't even really talk on that anymore because of FaceTime. They always want to see the girls, right?
Yeah.
So that's our line of communication.
Do you like FaceTime? I would never FaceTime you, just so you know.
No,
I'm not doing it.
No, and I wouldn't answer.
Dave, let's FaceTime. I just saw you. Like I just literally just saw you.
Do we talk every single day? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do we talk on the way to work? Yes. It makes my morning.
Yeah.
Would we talk on the way home? Sure. But I don't need to see his face. I don't need to see him driving. Yeah. Because we both have our, the handheld BS thing that you know what I'm talking about. But no, the FaceTime, whoever invented FaceTime, the good people at Apple, I'm guessing. It's the greatest invention for grandparents that want to see their kids, out of province, out of city. Just hey, we have Marissa's aunts and uncles, cousin, Vicky calls to see Marissa sometimes.
Okay, there's one reason to use FaceTime. You just mentioned one. So Vicky, definitely, that's a FaceTimer.
That's a FaceTimer.
Because then I started thinking about it. Well, if you can see the person.
The person.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Russell, do you FaceTime people? If you know what I mean.
You bet he does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you FaceTime?
Sure he does.
And don't lie.
Yeah.
I haven't used it for friends in a long time, but we FaceTime Alex a lot in Sweden.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a
that's a difference.
And by the way, Alex is his brother. Now, would you FaceTime a girlfriend and
Yeah.
things get carried away?
Accidentally not be wearing a shirt when you did it.
Yeah. You're having a glass of
Baby duck.
Little penguin or something. Lonesome Charlie, a Moody Blue. Next thing you know, a peach wine cooler, and all of a sudden,
whoops, where's my pants?
Whoa, and they're like, oh, this is Mom's number. Whoa. Then how come it went on for 5 minutes? Whoa. Oopsie daisy. All right, let's move on to.
So FaceTime, a good thing most of the time.
Most of the time. Dave, let's talk about baseball.
Yeah, let's do it.
And I got to tell you, it was exciting last night at the Big O in Montreal. And Vladdy Guerrero Jr., boy, did he have himself quite a night. And let's go to that clip courtesy of Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Broadband Properties. Let's have a listen.
How about a ninth-inning walk-off home run?
That would be the cherry on top of his ice cream that he was talking about the other day for this whole thing.
Oh, my! Get up, ball! Get up, ball! Right on
Brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Dave?
Agreed.
Yeah. Well, great moment.
It's pretty funny, though, eh? They're celebrating here on March the 26th. Yesterday was the 26th. No, 27th. Yeah, because tomorrow's 29th. So March the 27th, and they're celebrating like that. It was a great moment just because of the player that did it.
Yeah.
That's the moment. He's wearing Dad's jersey number. He does it in Dad's building that, he made himself. It is very cool.
Like I get sometimes baseball's like, oh, okay, fellas, take it easy. But I think for Canadians, for Expos fans, certainly Blue Jay fans. Now, look, this should be no surprise what this young man's going to do. They've been talking about this kid since he was 15, probably. Yeah, and 14,
by the way, the gift of Alex Anthopoulos. Alex Anthopoulos is the guy that signed this guy to that first contract and put him on the Blue Jay roster. And this is a guy that you're going to be buying your Blue Jay jerseys and your kids' Blue Jay jerseys from years to come, because he is 1,000% blue chip. This guy will, if they manage that contract properly and they sign him and everything like that, he'll be a Blue Jay the next 10 years minimum.
Right you are, Dave. I can't help it when we're talking baseball. I like to use this voice. By the way, Vladdy Jr. actually has a size 34 waist.
No, that's substantially more. Vladdy Jr. looks like he's on the cusp of being a young
Prince Fielder.
The funniest story too is I guess so. This was game 2 of 2 when they first got to Montreal the day before last. The first thing he looked for was the ice cream machine at the Big O that his dad would always take him to because of he'd hang out in the clubhouse. It wasn't there. The first thing he ate was a large bowl of poutine. This guy with the right promotions, advertising, everything like that. He's going to be the guy that's going to be promoting, your burgers and fries, and he's going to be your everyday man's man that wants to go to the ballpark, and he's not going to look like Jose Canseco. He's not going to look like Lou Ferrigno. He's going to be everyday Joe that smashes home runs and basically the face of the franchise.
David's favorite popcorn is Lucky Elephant. That's the pink one.
I remember that.
Of course,
that's real, man. I haven't heard that in a while.
Although the prize inside was always pretty shitty. There's a fastball down and away. 1-0. My God. Okay.
True.
Here's another weird baseball thing. Major League Baseball. Don't you have enough to worry about? The beer foam art. So here's a picture of it. If you're watching the show here on rawmike.richards.com, I realize if you're listening to the podcast, might be losing that impact. That's why you got to watch the show. This is from a company called Blue Point. They thought it was a pretty good idea. In fact, I thought it was literally an impossible idea, Dave, when you start talking about beer foam art. Now, if you get like cappuccinos and stuff like that in a fancy coffee house, they'll put they'll do little flowers. They can do faces. They do all kinds of stuff.
Sure, they can. Yep.
But look, I don't know how they do this. So here is a problem for I guess for Major League Baseball, and they're saying, well, you can't have your players. You can't have your players and in a alcohol-related manner.
Come on.
It's goddamn foam. And the beer's not great anyway. It's not great anywhere.
No.
They talk about heroin beer. That's you name it. Every place has heroin beer. It's not great. But here's the company. This is from NJ.com. I assume it's NewJersey.com. So they did a thing here on this company called Blue Point. So go ahead, show it. This is them. So you get your regular beer, and then I guess they put it in some weirdo robot machine. There it goes.
This is a weirdo robot machine.
Yeah. Isn't that creepy? Everyone's taking a picture. And then what do you get? Yankee.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. So you can now drink the head of Aaron Judge.
Yes, you can. You know what that is?
It's not good. I take that back. Oh, my goodness, Dave. Here, there's a fork ball into the dirt. 2-0 on Ramirez.
One of the most underutilized balls in baseball, Mike. You know what that is? That is going out with Chachi and Fonzie and pulling out your phone and taking a picture of the beer to tweet it out, and that's it. That's all it is.
I'm pretty sure it's not going to last.
No. There's not too many beer drinkers I know that will get a glass of beer, a pint of beer, whatever the hell you want to call it, and place it down and stare at it for the next 20 to 25 minutes.
I've got to sip around the face.
Okay, you got to leave. Get out. We're not friends. It's just so weird. Speaking of not being friends as we get ready for Major League Baseball, when's the opening day for the Blue Jays, by the way?
Tomorrow.
It is tomorrow. Okay, so I heard people talking about it, and it's like, because it just...
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, Yankees are in town.
Yeah, well, there you go. Just
4-game set.
Just make sure there's no faces on that beer.
Nope.
Speaking of Rogers Center, that heroin beer, they were pushing that. But, I talked about the breakfast television, the hilarious talents of breakfast television people.
The best.
One guy, that Adam kid, was eating a hot dog and left half of it hanging out of his mouth. And I got to tell you that oh, man. Oh, my God.
It's good stuff, eh?
Oh, my God.
Makes you want to watch more, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, if you thought that was a little rough, what happens when baseball players have great moments when they do bad things. And once again, property of Major League Baseball and Major League Baseball Advanced Media. Haven't said that in a while. Here's ball players behaving badly.
Squeezes on. The bunt is down. The run scores. And Dibble throws the ball away. It almost looked like Dibble was throwing the ball at Crescenzo.
Oh, he was. He didn't like that player.
There it is, Vina.
Watch this slide.
Oh, this is just like the play.
Now, Dave, you can't. Now, this obviously is a.
Pull his arms out. Does he give him a forearm shiver?
Albert Bell.
Yeah, he does. You see his elbow.
And now he calls him out. And Laurie threw him out and in the helmet. And that's going to cost.
Remember those Laurie meltdowns in the Blue Jay uniform?
You got it.
Wow.
I don't think that phone's going to work.
Big Poppy really
Off the end of the bat.
was not happy with the phone.
Arroyo. The ball gets loose. It's down the out of the glove of Arroyo.
I think he's out.
He should be out.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to try to do this, though?
That is
Slap the ball to the glove. Wouldn't you try this?
Arroyo puts the ball in the glove. The left arm came down.
You know you're going to get called out. I'm trying it. No. I'm sorry. I'm trying that.
And fired into foul territory near Piazza.
Oh, I remember
Obviously,
this.
Piazza didn't mean to do that. My
The
gosh,
rocket.
That's a
Would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you would. I would do it, too.
Whoa! History. And Bryce
Yeah, it usually is history.
Hunter Strickland. Here they go. Strickland lands a punch. Harper lands a punch.
See, there's the thing about baseball. These guys who jump in like the 18th guy in. That's where we're a little different in our sport.
Look at Ethiopia. Get it out, son.
Get it out, son. Vin Scully.
You know where that bat was intended to go? To the pitcher. And that's why the catcher really jumped out.
And here they come.
Was kind of by him when he let that bat go. And he looked right out at the mound. Now 2-2. This is going to be trouble. It's going to be a hit.
Well, the frustration from not getting the fastball.
Clayton Kershaw just threw the ball away and into the dugout. He was so frustrated.
Yeah, that's not good.
And Bryce saying, you got to be kidding me.
Now, do you remember that in the dugout?
And then Papelbon went right after Harper.
Yep.
Bueno, no, ya de verdad, esto...
That might be trouble. Face to face. Oh, boy.
Played and he's not happy. Thinks he's being thrown at, so of course he kicked the catcher.
Oh, I remember that.
The pitcher was blazed.
The donkey kick.
He's running for cover at that point.
It goes to the mound. Oh, no. All right, there you go. There you go. Apparently they're paying up. Now, here's the thing about baseball. Because as riled up as you can get, the physicality of it doesn't allow you to necessarily have contact.
No.
So if I'm playing that sport, would I have been any one of those guys? Assuming, obviously, that I'd be drafted and go to the majors.
I think it's a fair assumption. The answer is yes.
Yeah, there's no way that I'm not. Now, that whole Papelbon
just wonder what team would draft you, though. What's the team? What's the destination?
Well, I want to go to San Diego.
Yeah. That's nice.
Is this guy ever going to show up? The season's been on for a month.
He'd be like Todd Maranovich when he was at the Bombers. See you at the beach.
Yeah. Buddy, you've got a tan except where obviously your sunglasses were. No. I was doing OTAs. That's a different sport. We don't do that here. That's not even a baseball thing, buddy. And you smell like coconut. And stop smelling your arm. It's San Diego, don't you think?
That's a gorgeous city.
Although Arizona would hold a little bit for me too, I think.
Yep. I've been there many times. Arizona, and
great ballpark.
You know what's funny, and it's funny just talking about this. Here we are finishing winter, but in the middle of summer, it is damn hot in Arizona. Like I've been to Arizona
it's close to the
August.
sun. It feels like
it feels like you are on the sun.
It will be 100 and some odd degrees. 110.
Yes, I've been there. 100. I hit 115.
45 degrees Celsius.
And it's dreadfully dry, so it's like.
They have the great cocktails. That's one of the places. It was still Bank One ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
So that's back when I saw the Dodgers come to town and Sean Green was still playing for them. That's how long ago that was. And I'm like, what do you have there? They go, well, this here, sir, actually is a sushi bar. Sushi bar? Yeah. If you want hard liquors down there, it's by where the hot tub is. You got a hot tub? And cocktails?
Yeah, it's a great time.
That is.
Actually, that whole downtown Phoenix area is awesome because they have the Bank One is there, is kind of in a distance. Right in front of it is America West, which is a great building of its time, but it is getting old.
Yeah, it's getting older now. It's still good.
And about 2 blocks south of that, I don't know if you had a chance to see it. It's Alice Cooperstown.
No, I did not.
Alice Cooperstown restaurant.
Because that's where he golfs.
Yes.
He golfs actually at the McBean's golf course.
He lives in Arizona and is a phenomenal golfer. The old golf pro at my dad's club in Winnipeg has a school in Arizona and used to caddy for him on the Pro-Ams before he passed away.
Okay, so if
Alice Cooper picks up his clubs and shoots low 70s.
Yeah, no, he's
easy.
I said the McBeans, so Wayne.
Yep. Former NHL defenseman.
So Beaner and his brother Lloyd, who I think still own the club out in Chestermere, I'd have to remember the name of it again, but it's just outside of Phoenix. Alice is a member there.
Yep.
And he has his birthday party there every year. So the Beaners host.
Alice
Cooper's there to say, you can come down anytime you want. I'm like, I'll keep that in mind because I would put it this way: if you had the choice, of a Pro-Am style or just maybe a fun day. Let's not make it a Pro-Am. Just make it like a fun day. To golf with any of those kinds of stars or maybe even ones we haven't heard about. Imagining if you golfed with them, who would you want to golf with?
Like any
celebrity, actor, actress. Who would that be? I wonder.
I'd need some time to think about it.
See, I love Diamond Dave because we've had David there for 2 days. Can you imagine golfing with that? No way.
No, but I'd want to golf with like Paul Stanley. I'd want that.
Would you really?
Oh yeah, I'd want to have that conversation with Paul.
I just want to hear the sound he'd make when the ball goes in. You know what that's got to be. Woo! Woo! All right. Who out here likes to chip one in from the fringe? Like I just actually Gene would probably because he talked the whole time.
Yes, you would.
You realize back in 1974 when we started. Okay, look, do you mind? I'm just.
I'm in the middle of my backswing.
I'm just gonna, I'm in the trap, and of course, desert. Of course, being of the Jewish faith, we're a desert people. And okay, alrighty, here we go. Just playing golf now. Who would it be? Russell, I think I know who it would be. It's got to be Austin Matthews, and he's from. You're in Arizona. Come on.
His home course.
Wouldn't that be a thrill for you, amongst other things?
I honestly don't know who I would pick. Like,
what about Freddie Five Putt? He can reverse his nickname from Freddie Five Goal.
I think that's an insult to Frederick Anderson. Could be wrong.
I don't know. Any celebrity, like it'd be tough to just choose.
Okay, you know who'd
just
be
from the league.
You know,
like,
I'm telling you,
so many of
you know who would be a good day. I'm telling you right now. You know who'd be fun to golf with, and he's probably not bad. JR.
Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number one, he could get you on probably any golf course he wants to, especially in the California area.
He might be the guy you want to golf with, and then hang out after.
Oh, totally. That's why I think
round of golf.
I think Roenick would be up there. And who's Andy Roddick's girlfriend? That's the swimsuit model, Brooklyn Decker.
Okay,
that's
I'll
2.
take your word for it.
That's 2. Yeah, I just thought of that one.
That's good.
Because I like to share with people.
Sure.
I like to see things equal. So I go Jeremy Roenick on one side, and then, but I wouldn't golf with JR and her because then.
No, because then he'd be trying to.
He'd be trying, and I go, he's not so good.
True.
Actually, we should get him on the show. We haven't talked to him in a while. I'll say if you golfed with us, Brooklyn Decker, who, you know what? He's probably got a great story on who he has golfed with. Like that's the other thing about these celebrities. They see other people as celebrities, and they'll tell you who they thought was cool to golf with. I know that Ray Romano does. Would you golf with Justin Timberlake? Apparently, he's a pretty good guy.
I'm okay.
I would do it. I would do it.
With it. Yeah, not really my thing musically, but
I wouldn't know one song.
No,
but it doesn't matter because apparently he's pretty good too.
Yep. And you know what? Part owner of the Memphis Grizzlies, so he probably has a little bit of, I like watching basketball.
Yeah, he's a guy's guy too. Like
yeah.
this is what I understand. That'd be pretty good. What about Ron Jeremy? Because you know what, Ron Jeremy also would be in there for
the
me.
Conversation would be interesting.
Oh, it's great.
Probably go anywhere with him.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions.
Tons of questions. Yeah.
We should get him on the show too. I've done a couple of things with him, and not those things.
No. You weren't in any movies? No cameo appearance? You weren't the pizza guy?
Yeah, and there's one thing that he did in a movie that
Russell comes across as a good pizza guy, though, eh?
Oh,
Russell would make a good pizza guy.
Excuse me, ma'am. Here's your pizza. I don't have any money. How can I possibly pay you?
I'll come back tomorrow, then.
Oh, don't worry about it. I take credit cards. That's not what I was talking about. All right. I owe you. No, it's boner time. What does that mean? Cut.
It'd be the longest scene.
Yeah.
It'd be like these 20 minutes of negotiation.
Russell, what are you doing? They said it's boner time. Yeah, that got weird. Okay, sorry. That's a bad place.
Russell the pizza.
Tell your mom not to watch this particular episode because that's twice now that things got weird between you and your mom. You're not Elvis.
Yeah. Good reference.
Oh, yeah.
No kidding.
Okay.
Google that, friends. Google that.
All right, let's get it together. Come on. All right, now, get it together. What are we doing? NBA. So there we have a Raptors team that's, we're so excited.
Struggles with a non-playoff team from the West.
Like I'm telling you. I think this thing is wide open. I'm not even saying that I go, like, all right, 3 weeks ago, I'm going, the Raptors, if they don't go to the final, this is a fail for them. If the conference final, maybe even win the conference final the way that the season's gone. Now I'm like, you better get by that first series. I mean, you better start thinking about teams like Miami, because Miami, we talked about that yesterday. So here is what the Raps did against the Denver Nuggets. Now, just so you know, here in the GTA, as they like to call it, they're talking about how the team looked like they finally got the message. They're getting it together. Well, they've Cleveland twice. They've got Cleveland twice, and they've got the Celtics too coming up. I know that.
They have their next 3 games is Boston, Cleveland, Boston.
Okay, so
that's their next 3 games. And then it doesn't exactly ease up because Indiana's next as a playoff team. Orlando sucks. Detroit sucks. And Miami might need that last game of the season. That's their schedule. What I'm saying right now is, although it looks like it's a stranglehold on first place, they don't have first place locked up just yet after that schedule.
And when I feel the same way about the NBA right now in the Eastern Conference as I do about the dance in March in NCAA. Forget the seedings. Forget about what your number says you are.
That's interesting. Yeah.
What does the seeding truly mean in this? It's just like NCAA. Apparently, a 1 versus 16 no longer has the weight that it used to, according to my bracket. Which, by the way, if you're smelling smoke, that's the fire coming off the busted bracket. So, to me, I watched the Raptors. Their second unit certainly played better. They played a better defense, but it's still the Denver Nuggets. On a night-by-night basis in pro basketball, it's still going to be a push. You got to show up. But I'm just looking at how the trend is going. So let's start with the Raps. This is last night with the Denver Nuggets, property of the NBA and NBA broadband properties.
Days, and then Thursday fly to Oklahoma City. and giving them opportunities at the line.
DeLon lets it fly, banks it in, and it's good. And the Raptors take the lead.
Yeah, I meant to do that.
Through the opening quarter.
Get on the perimeter there to free them up.
Harris, nice cut underneath. Murray, the and one. It's Murray attacking. Another denial
Again,
for Toronto.
These highlights,
Chandler finds
the whole game equal to what, about a minute and 13 seconds. Great game.
Won 8 of 10. They're 24-12 at home. Slam dunk. DeRozan. Raptors by 1. It's a 7-0 run. DeMar with 13. Season best 16 block shots. Clock down. Murray makes it from Kitchener. Through foul trouble. Jakob 6.7 rebounds.
Now this I like.
And the Austrian hammer. He's got 8 and 7.
They might need that.
Back. Determined. Here's Murray.
Let him have it. Let him have it.
And he lets it fly. Doesn't go. Raptors escape with a win.
See, escape with a win. That, of course, our good friend Matt Devlin, once again, property of the NBA and NBA broadband properties. That game is...
Escape.
I don't know. I mean, is it good enough? Yeah, a win's a win. Once again, I don't overlook the NBA at this time of the season and say that there are easy games. But there are some games that should be easier than others. And that just, quite frankly, when you match it up again with the Clippers, the way they played about, against Brooklyn, both in that last week and a half. They played them also in Brooklyn and barely escaped that win either. I don't know, man. I think this thing's tight.
And I really want to see what happens in these next 3 games. I'm not saying they have to win all 3, but if you want to have a little bit of a calming sense going into the postseason, take 2 of 3. Take 2 of 3. Boston, Cleveland, Boston. That's tough.
I think you need something to motivate yourself in terms of self-esteem, self-worth, all those kinds of things. At least some kind of momentum. You've got to play well. Speaking of playing well, I just think that the Miami Heat could, that matchup for Toronto, not great. And if you want to see, we talked about trends and playing well. This is what the Heat did last night to the Cavs, and this is why I think they could be a tough matchup for a lot of teams.
And LeBron able to get into the teeth of the defense, and like, who can he bully? Like, he literally just bullied their center. Yeah.
Like, so. And their power forward. And Wayne Ellington continues to outside shooting touch for him. I mean, they like to run a lot of things through him, especially.
See, look at the team defense. That's a little scary. There it is again.
Having a positive impact on this game. Ellington for the triple quarter.
Well, that's Wayne Ellington's role with his second unit. They're going to go through him. When he got a wide open shot, he's going to shoot it. Already 2 for 2 from the three-point line.
And Rodney Hood there with a nice.
This is about as free as I've
coming
seen.
Up is what I want you to see with
taking shots, moving the ball, and taking threes in transition, and they are really nice move by
watch this on LeBron coming up.
Love unable to knock that triple down, and a good job defensively at the three-point line thus far from Miami. And Winslow all the way out on an island.
Watch this.
LeBron. And how about D-Wade? That was really set up too.
And tell him get it out of here. Cleveland's on a 13-game losing streak.
There you go. There's D-Wade rejecting the king.
D-Wade, 12 points off the bench in 17 minutes. That is a spark plug. I know he's not the Dwayne Wade of the past, but
Dave
still has a little bit to give here with the Miami Heat.
You're watching RawMikeRichards.com, also on the dedicated YouTube channel. We appreciate those, as you can see at the bottom there, where the thing would be. I think it's on over there. Subscribe, and that way you don't miss what comes out, obviously, and you watch it when you want to watch it. It's interesting to see the patterns that we see on how people watch this because we go every day. There are people who are sometimes a week behind, 2 weeks behind. And so we see how that works out. If you obviously subscribe, you don't miss anything, including some of the promos that we do. So we break down the show, some of the stuff that you want to see. Yesterday, we had a lot of people watching that hockey sponsorship thing. We had the David Lee Roth stuff. And, of course, our good friend Scotty Taylor from Game On Mag. Isn't that what it's called?
That's right. GameOnMag.ca. Game On Magazine, basically what it is.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun to catch up with him and get some of the Winnipeg stuff in there, which seemingly on a daily basis.
Weird how that works out, eh?
It does have to come, but
Jets beat the Bruins yesterday for all you Maple Leaf fans that want the Bruins to lose. Huh?
So that was good.
Bruins news, by the way, right off the Rusty Graham news desk. Zdeno Chara signs a 1-year extension with the Bruins for $5 million. That just in from the RG news desk.
Do you have your own news desk, roast beef? I didn't know we had that kind of thing.
Exclusively on Raw Migrators.
Let's thank God for that. You want to lose that contract. Well, the Leafs have Florida tonight, roast beef. Any concerns about the Panthers?
Ooh, intimidating.
Some concerns. The Leafs haven't looked terrible, but they haven't looked fantastic over the last couple games. Florida's got a hell of a lot to play for. They're still trying to squeak into that last wild card spot, take it from New Jersey. So,
is it just me, or every time I watch a Panthers game, it's excruciatingly painful, boring?
Yeah, at times.
It's like, hey, Panthers games are on. Oh God. Carolina?
You cheer for the goaltender, right? You cheer for Roberto Luongo.
But it's like he should have a microphone. We can hear him do the commentary during the game. I'd like it. Every time I've seen a Florida game over the years, it's painful. They're not a track meet team. They don't want to play with pace.
Yeah, they're not the New Jersey Devils of 4 or 5 years ago either, which is good because that's painful.
Yeah, that was painful too.
That was really painful.
But I put them kind of in that category in terms of teams that I don't want to see.
The only reason I'd like to see them where they are, and if they could fall into that number 8 spot, is I'd love to see a Tampa Bay Florida first round matchup, because I think it would revitalize a little bit of
something going there.
Well, yeah, because they have done everything right in Tampa Bay. In Florida, it's almost the mirror opposite of what's happened to their state brother. So I'd love to see a 6-game series. I don't know if it goes that long between Florida, Tampa Bay, and see what happens. I think we know what happens, but I think it would generate a little bit of hatred within the state, which is good in hockey, because I think just like the Battle of Alberta, the Battle of Ontario, anything to do with teams that don't like each other and that see each other a lot, I think it's a very good thing. Well,
I think the playoffs actually are going to be pretty decent. I think that some of the matchups could be pretty good. There are years where you see that matchup and you think, it's going to be a blow. But I think really when you're talking about the East, it's not unlike what I just talked about in basketball. You got to get in.
Yep.
You just got to get in. I think if you're a Leaf fan, based on what you saw last year in the playoffs, based on some of the teams that they have beaten who are ahead of them, I don't know if anyone necessarily has to feel like they're out of place. There are teams that that didn't get in, that as they're sitting on the, I'm still very curious, Dave, when you start taking a look at the Rangers and what they could possibly do. They're a team they're not afraid to spend. If they have the room, if they have the right players moving out at the same time, I think the Rangers will spend. If you're sitting there and you're now Rangers management, ownership,
yep,
who are the players that are attractive to you? Because you still have Henrik Lundqvist, but at some point,
aging. Now, are you talking about players that you're interested in free agency, or are you talking about?
I'd say mostly free agency. Like, who do you think, in terms of let's say in terms of term? So, like Henrik Lundqvist, what team, based on his contract, and who would you have to like?
I don't.
Who's going out? Because I don't think he's going out.
I think he's retiring as a New York Ranger. I think one of the things you have to look for, and you haven't heard much of this because there's been so many other teams talking about it, but don't sleep on the Rangers making a serious bid for John Tavares. And hear me out here. The practice facility's in place perfectly. MSG isn't going anywhere. They're not about to move to Brooklyn or to Queens or wherever the hell they want. Everything's stable on that side of the New York ledger. He likes the city. He has a place in the city.
Yep.
If everything else is stable and you're playing for the Blue Shirts, which is, Regional 6 team, a top team in the NHL, a team that could build off of this and are looking for help in that department, that might be a little bit of a a sneaky signing by the Rangers to get that franchise man back in prime. A guy that could, take this team to the next level. A captain. They are looking for a captain right now because Ryan McDonough's in Tampa Bay. I know a lot of people like to see him in Toronto, and a lot of people would love to see him in Montreal and whatever the hell team you're cheering for. But right in their backyard, they have the money to do it.
Well, I think it makes all the sense in the world, and let's not confuse the fact that they're like, well, the Islanders and the Devils. That's not New York City.
No.
That's not MSG. That is not the Rangers. The Rangers still are that thing. We just haven't seen it in a while. I guess you go back to that crazy, probably Stanley Cup final between the Rangers and Los Angeles, which, if you looked at it on paper only, you'd say, okay, yeah, the Kings won.
Mm-hmm.
That might be one of the few series where I can actually say that if you were on that team, you could look at each other, you're 20 years down the road, and you go, I can't believe we didn't win the cup.
Yeah.
Like every game was a nail biter. There was overtimes. There's 7 games. Like that was just one of the weirdest scenarios where even the team that held the cup, they have to look at each other 20 years later and going, I can't believe we won the cup. I mean, it was that tight. It was that tight. This year, I don't know what we're going to get.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're going to get because there is some years you can see, and not by virtue of how many points, because I know people are sort of in love with that. It's like, who do I really believe has the chops, has the health, and has the style of play? Well, I guess if push comes to shove, I'm probably still saying Nashville. Yep. I think deep down, I still think it's Nashville's to lose, to be honest. I guess that's the way I'd put it. But they're not necessarily a team I see, and maybe even 3 weeks ago, I don't know if I've changed my opinion that much. But I think it's Nashville's to lose.
Yeah, I think it is too, and I think it's going to be tough for teams like the Jets or the Minnesota Wild or anybody in that Pacific Division. And let's not sleep on the San Jose Sharks right now. They may be the team that represents that division in the conference finals. That's how good they're playing right now. And the Evander Kane fit, although I hate saying these words, it's very, very good.
No, it's excellent.
It might be the best trade at the deadline right now.
It's working out like money. And so does that last through the whole playoffs? It just might. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people going to have to swallow their words a little bit. But the trend and the history tells you, so even let's say they have a great run, whatever it's going to be, what do you think happens the next regular season? Because I would be betting, if that's what the case, and it ends up being one of those sparkling trade deadline moves that it's like, wow, that was the most amazing thing. I'm betting heavy against success in the regular season the following October. Heavy. If it's a prop bet, heavy on disaster.
And the thing is, the funniest part is he's an unrestricted free agent in July. If he continues to do what he's doing in San Jose and San Jose ponies up and decides to sign this guy long term,
that would take balls.
Buyer beware. Yeah. Buyer beware.
Like if you made that move and somehow they go to a conference final, they go to the Stanley Cup final, they do whatever, it's like, if he turns around and goes, so what do you think? Nice knowing you. What? Yeah, see you later. We called it, that's a cab. The yellow cab, that's for you.
That's for you.
Where's it go? Wherever you want, buddy.
Yeah, your choice.
Yeah, wherever you want.
You tell the driver.
Now, there's a couple of things that I've learned over the years about hockey, and one of them is about our good friend Doug Gilmour. So in the playoffs or just in general, during that era of Doug Gilmour, what is the one lesson? The lesson comes from Seinfeld. Where it was Jimmy talked in third person.
Yep.
Like, don't talk to Jimmy. Jimmy likes Elaine. Jimmy's thirsty. Jimmy's tired. But the one thing Jimmy said, don't touch Jimmy. Well, in the era of the Leafs, as you'll see in this lesson, don't touch Dougie.
Having trouble controlling it. Played it around the boards. We have 5 seconds left in the period. And Marshall has the stick knocked out of his hands. He and Domi in a collision. And now Domi pops Marshall.
So it starts off Ty doing what Ty does.
Here we go. The Dallas Stars react when Ty Domi punched Grant Marshall.
So this is how the NHL used to look a lot. A lot of, like a yard sale. A lot of grabbing.
And Daryl Sador, and in comes Matt Sundin from behind.
There's Sundin in there, eh? He's probably the biggest guy on the ice right now.
It has turned nasty, and some of the names: Mercado, Gilmour,
Sundin.
Sundin.
Yeah. Well. Matt Sundin's size alone should be able to handle this group.
So Sador ends up with Doug.
It started with Domi and Marshall. That's Sador's. No talking to Gilmore.
There's a push. Don't touch Dougie. Don't do it. Because someone will take offense.
Isn't this something?
Like this.
Oh, and here comes Gill. He pops. Sador.
Now, Dave Jackson has got the pen and paper out here.
Oh.
The fans have declared Gill a clear-cut winner in that bout. But it could be costly. They've already lost Gagne in the period with a spearing penalty. It'll be
there
interesting
it
to
is.
see what the officials hand out here. Look at the late bench.
Yeah, there it is. Of course, they end up working together in Kingston.
That's right.
As well.
That's the head coach, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So that's the lesson, Dave.
Don't touch Dougie.
You don't see that. Like, what is the possibility of the teams meeting this year, of any of the teams that you see in the playoffs, where something like that would even remotely happen? I'm trying to think of teams that even have, like, who has a reputation for that kind of hockey anymore? It's just a different game.
No, it is a different game. If you looked at some of the possible matchups, and just based on the points right now, I don't think this is a possibility anymore. There's always bad blood between the Flyers and the Penguins. And at one time, they were matched up properly, but because of how the Flyers have kind of sunk and Columbus has jumped into that number 3 spot, more than likely it's going to be Columbus-Pittsburgh in that first round. There is some blood there, and it's historic, but not to the even remotely the same sort of cachet. There's no such thing as the Battle of Alberta anymore.
No.
There's no such thing as the Pennsylvania, the twosome, and it just doesn't exist anymore like it once did.
Yeah. Russell just said in my headphones, he goes, "Yeah, like the Hershey Highway." No, that's not what they call it.
That's
not
completely different.
It's not what they called it. I would say maybe of the physical teams on either conference that are going to be in the playoffs, is LA. LA might be the one that wants to slow it down, like you're playing in sand.
Yep.
And try to push you around a little bit. Even though Daryl Sutter's not the coach, that style of play still exists.
Yeah, it still exists. They are more of the team built for the playoffs. I know we've talked about this in the past, but I just look at that depending on what matchup they have, and let's not forget the X factor. Jonathan Quick in the postseason might be a top 3 goaltender in the world.
He is for me.
So if you sit there and you go, who do you want in this situation? Well, I'll take 2-time Stanley Cup winning goaltender Jonathan Quick. So you have the right pieces, you have the toughness, you are a slower team. Jeff Carter is finally back from injury. He's missed basically the entire season, so he's been back for a couple of weeks. He looks like he's getting where he's supposed to be.
How old would Jeff Carter be now?
I'm guessing 34. Rusty, is that? What do you think? 34. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Yeah, it's funny because it almost seems like a blink of an eye. We were talking about him at the World Juniors.
Yeah.
And then with Mike Richards.
With Mike Richards, that's it. Well, that was the Dry Island.
Well, that was prior to Dry. but it's one of those things. And then they go to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia, decides that they're going to change the environment in the dressing room. And well, it hasn't hurt Jeff Carter, because Jeff Carter went on to be one of the legitimate studs of the Los Angeles Kings dynasty, ever what they call a dynasty right now in the National Hockey League. And it's don't count him out this year either of making some noise.
I can vouch on behalf of all named Mike Richards. None of us would ever spend any time on Dry Island.
No.
I'm not going. You can have the tickets back. Give them to someone else.
Does that include the Mike Richards from The Price is Right?
Yeah, includes him.
Okay.
Michael Richards, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, exactly.
But something tells me he now lives on Dry Island. Because that would only explain what else happened in his lifetime. Maybe he's a full-time resident there.
Yeah.
The start of the show, we talked about certain players that you don't get riled up. Maybe it's a mistake. So if in the first example we said don't touch Dougie, in this episode I think I would also say don't piss off Jerome McGinley. So in this case, don't touch Iggy. Once again, this is property of the National Hockey League and a bad decision by Bill Guerin.
Bugner. Niedermeyer. Walking forward. Savard. Gunning. And
at each other, grabbing the sticks.
Matt Tkachuk.
And here we go.
Takes another look, and it's center ice. Guerin and Iginla are ready to go. Oh, my. Guerin throwing them. Iginla with a right. They're trading rights. Ow. Ouch. Oh, left landed by Iginla.
Oh, the announcers. Ow. Oh.
Iginla.
Oh, my goodness.
Iginla getting in more shots. Guerin holding on.
Yeah, that was not a good decision, I felt. No. And if it was the WWE, am I going over? This is over.
This is over.
That had to be over.
No, that was big time over. Jerome McGinley, too. It's so funny. Maybe in the history of me covering the NHL, my most favorite player.
He's the most polite guy you'll ever meet.
Honest to God.
To anybody.
This is the guy that you wish was your cousin, your neighbor, your brother, fathers out. This guy is the salt of the earth in the saltiest way. Yeah. I mean, this guy is so good.
I thought I was being punked when I first went out there. Rhett Warner had something called Retro's Bolorama to raise money. So all the players were there, and Robin Regier, and so I'm sitting there in the Flames TV, it's following around with the hostess or whatever, and then Jerome comes up. It's the first time I met him.
Yeah,
because I'm there. He goes, "Hey, how's it going?" Fine. So you liking it here? Are you kidding? Like I'm just thinking, yeah. He goes, I see you had a big pro line win there, because I did. I won like $21,000. He goes, so you went up to St. Albert? I'm from St. Albert. Right? Seriously? Did we pave the roads for you? He actually said that. Did we pave the roads all nice for you? All right. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what your little thing is, Jerome. I bet you Retro got you to do something weird, and you're punking me, and maybe someone's behind pulling my pants down or something. That's honestly how he is all the time. He is polite. He is humble. He's the one guy that I think every single year he came back to camp, he was even in better shape than when he left.
And it's hard to do considering this guy was a physical fitness phenom. Like the guy's a complete player. You knew when you saw him, he's a walking, talking Hall of Famer in every sense of the word. And as good as he is on the ice, he's better off the ice. He should be in the front office of a National Hockey League team. He should be a president. He should be everything you want to aspire to in a business.
He should be what Dave Andreychuk is to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So
even a higher position.
But if he doesn't want, just at least the team ambassador. Now maybe I don't think he is.
No,
I don't think he is. Like Craig Conroy is actually in front office, and again another beauty.
Yeah, really beauty. Yeah.
But no, I get that, and it's just a shame. This is where it becomes tough. And I'll be honest. The hardest thing that I've found in this part of the industry, not just in radio or television, but in sports radio. If you've been to a couple of different towns or you've become close to some of the athletes, you get a different feeling from it when you see certain things. So therefore, when someone says, boy, they should trade Jerome McGinley before he's past his prime, and they get nothing. And you're like, yeah, they should get rid of him. Are you crying? No. Because you kind of get weird about it, right? You're like, well, don't trade. But the Calgary Flames, were guilty, more than guilty, of what they got. And Mika Kiprusoff just went fishing when it was all over.
Yeah, there's a list of teams that have done that too, and you kind of wonder. You'd love to be part of that management conversation on why certain players, and with the Toronto Maple Leafs, they couldn't really talk to Matt Sundin about waiving, right? And that went on for an entire year.
The Raptors, you think of the Vince Carter era. You think about what you don't get back, and I think if you find yourself in the middle of whatever division and conference that you are in sports, if you're in the middle, that means you are nowhere. You are there used to be a time where you would consider a bubble team is kind of almost there.
Mm-hmm.
A bubble team is a nowhere team. Now, if you're in its sort of in the cycle of where that franchise is and you're on the way up, maybe bubble team's not bad. For instance, we just talked about Dallas Stars 2-3 years ago when Jim Nill went there. Maybe it's longer now. When they sort of were a bubble team and then they get in, I'm thinking, okay, for the infancy of what they're trying to do, great for the Stars. What about now?
Yeah.
Like a bubble team's a disaster.
No, exactly. Now you're looking at the Dallas Stars going, who are they shipping out? Who are they signing? Who are they not signing? What are they going to do with some of the higher-priced veterans that haven't, pulled their weight?
Well,
goaltending.
Yeah,
is,
goaltending.
And they have two very below-average ones right now, just based on what the league has. It's tough. Dallas is going to have to go through a lot of questioning in the offseason.
And just think, even when they had different goaltenders there about 3-4 years ago, the same thing. They go into the playoffs, and you're like, okay, guys, block a lot of shots, like a lot of shots. And I just that is way too hard to make your living this way in the NHL. But looking for the playoffs. Now the playoffs are starting. I just heard from our good friend Bob Nicholson, who does the Wizard Foundation. So they have their playoff draft. Myself and Joe Bowen are the co-MCs. I know. Couldn't they find better people? Apparently Joe is like I think he calls himself the commissioner.
Okay.
I go, what is it, like a dictator? Like, trust me, there was no voting on this. If you're the commissioner. But we have a blast. They raise a ton of money, and it is their 30th year. So that is April the 9th that I'm doing that. Tomorrow I will be at Centennial College talking to the radio students.
Hey.
And
are you going to talk in a radio voice?
And I think that, in all, that is a very bad decision. Oh, no, not that. Not that. Let's go to this. Heard Morgan Freeman there. We haven't had that in a while.
He'll be on soon.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he'll be on soon.
You want to go do karate in the garage?
Yes, absolutely.
It's time!
So we rounded all the bases, literally. Blue Jay fans happy. Vladdy Jr. kind of doing what his dad did a lot in the same building. Opening day tomorrow. So I guess we're going to have a bit of a baseball show. We're going to do something
You know
like
what? Tomorrow on the show, we'll have some predictions and stuff, and maybe I'll
get Warren.
I'll call up our good friend Warren Saw.
Yeah. Lazy Warren Sawku. It's true.
Let's get ready to rumble!
You're not going to the game, are you?
No, my wife is, though.
Is she?
Yep. That's okay.
Is Vicky going to the game?
No, I cannot confirm that.
Is she babysitting?
No, she's going over to your house.
I will not be on the show tomorrow. Good night, everybody.